So it's been a little while since the official announcement of Persona 3 Reload, an Unreal Engine 4 remake of Persona 3, originally released in 2006. And since that announcement we've received a bunch of information on the game, including the new voice actors, new gameplay elements, and the unfortunate lack of the female protagonist from Persona 3 Portable. However, of everything we've heard so far, nothing has stood out to me more than the answer, the epilogue chapter exclusive to Persona 3's re-released version, Persona 3FES, not making the cut. More than the lack of certain gameplay mechanics, more than most cutscenes being in-engine now, neglecting the answer is a decision that has ruffled a few people's feathers, myself included. But to me the issue goes deeper than not being able to re-experience the thing I like. I think removing the answer is a detriment to the main story, and causes problems for the wider continuity, especially in regards to the characters involved. So, join me, Reece, not Reece, as I explain why Persona 3 Reload needs the answer. Before we get into it, full spoilers for the 17-year-old game. I can't actually say that, can I? The remaster's just come out, the remake's on the way. Nah. Okay, full spoilers for the main story of Persona 3, also known as Persona 3FES The Journey, or just the entirety of Portable, as well as the answer, the epilogue chapter exclusive to Persona 3FES. There will also be minor spoilers for Persona 4 Arena. I haven't played Ultimax yet, so no spoilers for that. I also won't spoil Persona 4, 5, or their re-released versions and spin-offs. Now, I'd like to spend some time summarising the story because I think having the context fresh in your head is important, and I'm sure for some of you, it's been a little while since you last played Persona 3. Makoto Yuki, left apathetic after the death of his parents, returns to the site of the incident 10 years later to live out his second year of high school. He's sent on a journey by the residents of the Velvet Room, and soon finds himself appointed field leader of S.E.E.S, a group of Persona users mostly consisting of Gekkoukan High students. Over the course of the year, Makoto discovers the benefits of bonds through his unique ability to wield multiple personas, which is further powered by his social links, bonds of friendship he shares with others. The year goes on, Shadows of 4, and on January 31st, 2010, Makoto uses his power to seal away a powerful being called Nyx, which threatens life on Earth. The power makes direct use of his life force, and so, on March 5th, he passes away on the school roof in the arms of Aigis. Later that month, the team are preparing to leave the dorm, their former base of operations, when they're suddenly attacked by a mysterious figure who doesn't seem to be human. Aigis fights back but is eventually overpowered. All seems lost when suddenly, fueled by her desire to prevent another death, Aigis' persona Athena metamorphosizes into Orpheus, Makoto's initial persona. She malfunctions but wakes up in Makoto's Velvet Room. Igor and Elizabeth explain that she has awakened to the wildcard just as he did, and must sign the same contract. Thus, Aigis embarks on a journey of her own. The intruder introduces herself as S.E.E.S, an anti-shadow suppression weapon like Aigis, and joins the team as they journey through the abyss of time which has appeared beneath the dorm and is believed to be the source of the team's current predicament. They learn that the abyss was attracted by their grief and manifested beneath the dorm as a result. They reach the bottom of the abyss and gain the means to leave the dorm, but S.E.E.S tells them they could also use these means to return to the past, before Makoto's death. For Yukari, this is an opportunity too good to pass up. Mitsuru sides with her, wanting to repay the kindness she showed while Mitsuru mourned her father. Ken and Akihiko both believe the past shouldn't be tampered with. Junpei and Koromaru just want everyone to stop fighting, and Aigis finds herself unsure of who is right or what she really wants to do. So the team finds themselves at an impasse, and they decide to fight for what they believe in, literally. Aigis and S.E.E.S face off against each duo in turn, emerging victorious with their means of escape recovered. After a lovely chat, Aigis, leading her team once more, decides to briefly return to the past, to the time when Makoto faced Nyx head-on to see how he died. They open the final door and witness him sealing Nyx away before being taken to the Great Seal itself, guarded by Makoto's soul. We learn that Nyx is passive, therefore the seal was made not to keep her locked in, but to keep something else locked out. Erebus. the manifestation of humanity's desire for death. It constantly attacks the seal, longing to unite with the Nyx in order to bring about the fall. Erebus attempts to kill Aigis, knowing she has the same power as the one who created the seal, and the team decides they can't run from this fight. They defeat Erebus and return to the dorm, preparing to face the future head-on as they finally open the door outside, restoring the natural flow of time. Upon opening the door, Aigis wakes up in the Velvet Room once more, surrounded by her friends. It is here where it's revealed that Metis is the part of Aigis that vanished when she wished to return to being a soulless machine, and now, accepting Metis back into her soul, Aigis is a living, breathing being once more. The team then wakes up in the dorm as the clock strikes midnight and the date moves to April 1st, confirming that time has returned to normal. Deciding to keep their evokers and continue fighting, the team leaves the dorm with their heads held high. Sorry, I know that was a lot. Considering this video is about the answer, I wanted to make sure I covered all the major points. Now, a quick heads up, for this next section I'll be focusing on the characters, specifically Makoto and Aigis, and due to the nature of these games where there is a small amount of self-insert going on, I'll be drawing from my own interpretations of the characters in order to make my point. But I fully believe that, despite being able to choose dialogue options and name the protagonist whatever you want, the protagonist is a set character with an established personality, and I'm not alone in that line of thought. It shouldn't affect the validity of the point I'm making too much, since at the end of the day it's still the same story, still the same characters and the same plot points, but I figured it's best to be transparent with this. So, going in order of appearance, let's start with Makoto. Makoto Yuki was left deeply traumatized by the death of his parents in 1999. It left him apathetic, which we see in the first FMV of the game as he's unfazed by the moon turning green, the pools of blood, or the coffins. He's also initially shown to be very disinterested in fostering meaningful relationships with others, and a lot of the early dialogue options are unenthusiastic at best and sometimes downright standoffish. It's implied that, at first, Makoto views bonds in an entirely practical sense, as he notes that, according to Igor, the strength of the social link is the strength of the persona, when deciding to hang out with Kenji for the first time during the introduction to social links, a section that's part of the main story and entirely unavoidable. As the main story goes on, and as you progress in your social links, you're presented with more options to be genuinely caring. Makoto has formed true bonds of friendship, and wishes the best for the people around him, no longer seeing them as a means to an end, but as true companions. It's these companions that give him the means to stand up to the fall, with the power of his social links coming together to form the Universe Arcana, awakening limitless potential within him and giving him the power to seal Nyx. However, I think it's also less literal than that. I can't see the Makoto from the start of the game sacrificing himself like this. With his apathetic nature and the distance he initially puts between himself and others, it's more likely he wouldn't care whether the world ended or not. It's only after making so many friends, both inside and out of S.E.E.S, that he begins to truly care about others, and I believe it's for these people specifically that he sacrifices himself for. They were his reasons for fighting. They taught him the meaning of life just in time for him to die protecting their lives. So, how does this relate to Aigis? Aigis' story in the journey sees her grapple with finding meaning in her life following her failure to fulfill her original directive of defeating the Death Arcana Shadow. She returns to the dorm after being repaired and begs the team to have their memories erased because she can't bear to see them suffer, before questioning her own existence, wondering why she's still here when she can't protect humanity from shadows, and calling out for someone to tell her her purpose, claiming to not understand because she can always be repaired and therefore does not see herself as someone who possesses a life. The team explains that, simply put, to live is to search. You will set your sights on a goal and you will either achieve it or lose sight of it and be forced to reevaluate, to search for a new goal. It is this understanding that allows Aigis to reevaluate her own life as she establishes a new directive. She is a machine who is here to live. She knows she does not understand what this means yet, but understands that that is a part of living too. This search for purpose seemingly reaches a conclusion when Aigis reunites with Makoto on March 5th. They sit together on the school roof, gazing out over the city as she once again ponders the meaning of life, this time with a more positive outlook. She decides that her reason for living will be to protect Makoto, who she's come to care about so deeply, unaware that he's dying in her lap. The answer sees Aigis once again grapple with the meaning of her existence, giving us the opportunity to see her struggle from her own perspective. She lost her reason for living so soon after finding it, and to escape the pain brought on by her newfound emotions, she wishes to become a soulless machine once more. But by gaining the wildcard, an ability again powered by bonds of friendship, and going through the ordeal brought on by the abyss of time alongside her friends, she comes to a conclusion that a life worth living is best spent with people you care about, who care about you in return. This is the same understanding Makoto reached by the start of 2010, after spending the better part of a year establishing bonds of friendship. This passing of the torch from Makoto to Aigis only serves to accentuate the themes and plot points established in the journey. They're all given so much more meaning now. As you re-experience the story, you understand that the protagonist is more than just a vessel for the player, but a character embarking on his own journey, learning his own lessons. More than that, you know that these lessons are passed down to Aigis and through her reach more people than he ever could have anticipated. And it's my belief that, without the answer, Aigis simply wouldn't be the person capable of passing down these lessons. She wouldn't be the Aigis we see in Persona 4 Arena, set in 2012, 2 years after the events of The Answer. In Arena, throughout other character stories as well as her own, Aigis refers back to the lessons she learned as she journeyed through the abyss of time, how she learned the importance of having friends by your side in dark times, and how those friends can help you achieve great things. And Elizabeth also mentions Aigis' brief stay in the Velvet Room as a guest. This is unequivocal proof that The Answer took place in the same continuity as Persona 4 Arena, which is also canon to Persona 4 Golden, which is assumed to be canon to the modern trilogy alongside P3FES and P5R. I know continuity doesn't really matter outside of these side games and how they link to the main game they're spinning off from, but I thought I'd mention it. Now, of course, there are plenty of people who don't like The Answer for plenty of reasons, so I wanted to take a minute here to give my take on those less liked areas. First up, the gameplay. I'm gonna be brief here, I like the gameplay of The Answer. It's the same old Persona 3 gameplay, minus the social links, and I know the gameplay consisting of exclusively dungeon crawling is a deal breaker to a lot of people, but for me, Persona is such a unique game compared to everything else I play that I can't get tired of its gameplay. Pretty much every other game I play is a AAA action-adventure game. Think RDR2, Horizon, GTA, so I find myself currently unable to get burnt out on Persona's gameplay. Maybe after a few more Persona games have been released I'll think differently, but for now the gameplay isn't something I can criticise. Yukari Takaba. Yeah, I don't actually have much issue with her either. Not her specifically anyway. Rather, I think the whole Civil War segment could be done much differently today. You might say it could be redone, or maybe even remade, perhaps. Nah, that's a mental idea. I think, going by modern standards of Persona games, where you can spend up to an hour just going through dialogue, you could very easily replace this battle sequence with just a long dialogue section. Have the characters still retain their points of view from the original, Akihiko and Ken adamant on returning to the present, Yukari wanting to go back to the past with Mitsuru standing by her, but not necessarily supporting her, Junpei and Koromaru just wanting everyone to calm down, and Aigis being conflicted. You could even introduce a bad ending here, either giving us dialogue options that eventually lead to Aigis opening the door to the past, or having the team reach a conclusion and then leaving the player to walk around and decide which ending to take. You could even introduce a third ending this way. The bad ending, opening the door to Makoto's room and returning to the past. The good ending, opening the front door and returning to the present. And the true ending, opening the door to Polonia Mall and opening the way to the Erebus boss fight as per the original ending. Bubble Tea sums up my thoughts in his video on the answer, where he basically says he doesn't mind the battle sequence itself, just that the premise is forced, and I fully agree. It's okay for 2007, and I think the team literally fighting amongst themselves is a good way of showing the consequences of this close-knit group of people not seeing eye to eye, further cementing the importance of friendship into Aigis, but by today's standards of storytelling in games, it could be removed entirely for something more dialogue-based. Now, all this being said, I think there is a good argument to be made for the answer cheapening the ending of the main game. The main game, again, ends with Aigis and Makoto sitting together on the school roof. Aigis ponders the meaning of her existence, reflecting on the fact that she now has people she wants to be with, and someone special who she wants to take care of for as long as they live, unaware that his life is about to end. This ending, while good on its own, left me wondering what happens next. Where Persona 4 and 5 both leave you with the knowledge of where the friends you've made this past year are going next, the ending of the journey doesn't. While this is fine on its own, it further relates to the theme of death and allows the player to identify with the protagonist one last time as they both wonder, what's going to happen to these people when I'm gone? I don't think it has the same effect anymore. With Arena and Ultimax, we can now find out where the team's at years after the events of P3. For the player, losing the protagonist no longer means losing their connection to these characters, and so you can afford to take the main story of Persona 3 a little further and give us that closure as the team seeks closure of their own. To sum my thoughts up quickly, I think the story of Persona 3 is incomplete without the answer. It represents a passing of the torch from Makoto to Aigis, both physically, in the way she inherits his wildcard, and emotionally, as Aigis learns to appreciate her life through bonds of friendship, just as he did. I think removing the events of the answer conflicts with the greater timeline, as the Aigis we see in Persona 4 Arena is clearly an Aigis who's journeyed through the abyss of time and learnt the lessons that ordeal brought with it. Elizabeth mentioning events that can only be interpreted as events that occurred during the answer further solidifies this belief. Finally, I think the answer only expands upon the plot points and themes of the main game of Persona 3, giving Makoto's every action more meaning as we know he's learning his own lessons, which will be passed down to Aigis and through her touch the hearts of more people than he ever could have imagined. I love Persona 3. It's one of my favourite games of all time, and I wish I could do nothing but sing the praises of the upcoming remake, but if their goal is to create a definitive version of Persona 3, without the answer, it pains me to say this, but they've already failed in that regard. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's the first video I've made and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a pure passion project for me. As someone who first played Persona 3FES back in 2021 after playing Royal and Strikers for the first time earlier that same year, and came out of it knowing it was undoubtedly my favourite of the series. Not for any objective reason, I still think Persona 5 Royal is objectively the better overall experience, but I just have so much more love for Persona 3FES in a very hard to explain, very emotional way, but I hope I've done it justice and conveyed it in a way that at least makes some kind of sense with this video. Now, despite this video, I'm still excited for Reload. I'm eager to see the new gameplay, graphics, cutscenes, quality of life improvements in action, and I'm very excited to see how these new voice actors handle these characters. Honestly, I think, despite everything we're losing, just seeing them getting all hyped up on Twitter is just gonna sold me on it. Now, if you'd like to have a live discussion with me about this or anything else you can think of, you can find me over at twitch.tv/ReeceNotRyhs. I try to go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday at 6-7 PM UK time. We're currently playing through Mirror's Edge on Mondays, a free day on Wednesdays, though it's usually Sea of Thieves. We're also playing a New Game Plus playthrough of Eternights on Fridays, and on Saturdays we're currently playing through Shadow the Hedgehog as part of my big series I'm doing called Sonic Saturdays, where I play through a bunch of the main games from Sonic Adventure all the way to Sonic Unleashed in preparation for my first playthrough of Sonic Frontiers. We're super chill over there and I'm always up for a chat. Feel free to stop by. If you just want Persona talk though, you can also find me at twitter.com/ReeceNotRyhs. I follow a lot of Persona-centric accounts on there, so you'll probably find me quote tweeting and retweeting the latest Persona news as and when it comes out if I feel I have something to add or just want to share my thoughts. And finally, just to wrap up the housekeeping here, feel free to leave a comment down below with your thoughts on the points I've made here, your own opinion on the answer, or even just feedback and criticism on the quality of the video itself. After nearly 9 months on Twitch, I'm very eager to branch out and make some actual curated content on YouTube, so I'm very eager to hear any feedback you have to share. I know, because the answer is a bit of a controversial topic, I'm sure if this video gets any kind of traction, there is the chance of it turning into a big old dumpster fire, but it can't be too bad, right? Right? But yeah, I'll leave it there. Have a good rest of your day, have a good rest of your week. Thank you for watching, I'll see you when I see you. Take care, goodbye. Alright, I'm done.